The Not So Great Outdoors contains stories of a graphic nature. Viewer discretion is advised.
The outdoors are great, except when they're not.
Welcome to the Not So Great Outdoors. We're your guides. I'm Seth.
And I'm Piff, and this week we're talking about the disappearance of Trenny Gibson.
I haven't done a disappearance in a while.
No, we have not.
Wait, I'm sorry.
Are you okay?
I'm just having an aneurysm over here. I'm fine.
Well, don't drop dead in the middle of this. That wouldn't be great.
I'll haunt the pod.
Oh, I can't have you haunting my house.
Why?
I just can't.
Why? I would be a good ghost to have haunt you, though, because it wouldn't even be a haunt. I would just be here.
Just a vibey ghost.
I would just be a vibey ghost. I would do things to let you know that I'm here, though. I wouldn't knock shit off the wall, but I would like tap it, you know, just so you know,
mess
like,
with
hi.
it.
Yeah, it'd be kind of like me waving
Enough to like confuse me and scare me.
But let's be honest, if I died in this room, would you ever come back into this room?
Probably
not.
It would depend on how you died. Like if you dropped dead of an aneurysm right now, we're selling this house. I don't care.
We're selling this house. I'll just follow you guys. It's fine. But I'll do things like, I don't know. I feel like
make the beds.
No. Probably not. I don't even make my own bed in life.
Isn't there a ghost in one of the hotels that does that? The Stanley.
The Stanley. I don't think she makes the beds, but I think it feels like the bedding is like tucked around you. You know what I mean? I think, or maybe they leave and come back to find it made. Maybe that's it. I can't remember it.
Well, I really hope that this is a moot point and you don't drop dead during the middle of recording.
Yeah, let's not. I would rather not. I got stuff I would like to do in my life before I die.
Well, on that note, on my episode, I don't have like a smooth transition here.
Like me last time. It was like I don't know how to segue into. But
we are heading to Great Smoky Mountains National Park.
Woo! We love the Smokies.
We do love the Smokies. Also, I thought we had already done an episode in the Smokies, and so I scrolled through our episodes, could not find it. No. I think we just did a ridiculous rescue that happened. A rescue. Yeah. What that means, we get to do all the background information on the park.
Yay. Oh, yeah, and you said you start with the background.
I start with the background for once. Here we go.
This will probably be the only time.
Yeah, probably. Not gonna lie. Well, I like it doing background of people and then background of place, but we're doing the place first this time, just for fun. Mixing it up.
And by we need to go to the Smokies, I mean we need to go to the Smokies for a vacation. I'm not trying to hike an ungodly amount on a vacation.
What do you do if you go to a national park if not hike?
I mean, you should hike, yes. And we can have a whole day dedicated to hiking around, seeing all the things. I'm not doing it the whole trip.
Okay, so Great Smoky Mountain National Park is the most visited park in the United States with, would you like to guess how many visitors per year?
No, I'm really bad. I think a couple million.
12.1 million visitors per year.
I wasn't wrong.
With most visitors choosing to visit in June and July.
That's hot.
It also has been the most visited national park since 1944.
Wow. Also, why would you go? Why is the most visit in June, July? Kids are on summer vacation. I get that. Okay, I do know that. But outside of that, I hope it's the fall month because the foliage.
Yeah, you can, if you want to know a detailed thing, one of the links in the blog, there's a graph of their by month when they get most visitors. Yeah. So if you want to look, it's in the blog. And just so we all know, that is more visitors per year than Yellowstone, Zion, and Rocky Mountain, which are the next three most visited parks combined.
Wow. And it's right in our backyard, Pip.
Yeah, it really is.
Kind of, yeah.
It really is. I have how far it is in a little bit.
In a minute. Okay.
Yep. So from GSMNP.com, Great Smoky Mountain National Park. It's the initials. GSMNP.com. Quote, "The Smokies are named for the blue mist that always seems to hover around the peaks and valleys. The Cherokee called them Chakanajay, or place of the blue smoke," end quote.
I love that.
So that's where their name comes from.
And they do. That's one of my favorite. I guess that's another reason because I love to I don't know. Anyway, also, who doesn't love staying in a cabin? They have pool tables and hot tubs. And the view is
fancy
gorgeous.
Stuff.
Who doesn't want to drink their coffee looking at that every so often? Anyway, although I don't wake up early, so especially not on vacation.
No. So the park was established in June of 1934. And to create the national park, they bought out some 6,000 farms and homesteads. So, yeah, there were a bunch of people that were just living here, and they were like, here's some money, it's a park now.
Which feels kind of not good.
I don't think it was that good.
No.
The idea for the Smokies, this isn't in here, to be a national park was like some rich guy that was like, this should be preserved, and who cares about all these people that live here?
Like a rich white man.
Like a rich man. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So, moving on from the questionable history of this national park.
I mean, how much of the U.S.'s history is not questionable?
None of
not
it.
A lot. Yeah, right?
Most of it is questionable.
Right? So that's par for the course.
Yep. So Great Smoky Mountain National Park is in both Tennessee and North Carolina and is only about 4.5 hours from us in Louisville.
Yeah.
Not far at all.
We gotta go.
It's like an afternoon. Yeah.
Like if we go and it's not meant to be like, oh, we're gonna cabin and we're gonna just hang out. If we go and it's like meant to be a hiking trip, I'm down. Like I'm not saying I'm not down for like hiking trip. That's fine. But fine. We can do again. Remember, I am outdoors adjacent.
I mean, I will say that 2 episodes ago, you said, you really wanted to go on a big adventure.
I do want to go on a big adventure, but like not tomorrow because I'm so out of shape.
I'm not saying tomorrow. I'm just putting it into the universe.
I do want to go on a big adventure at some point in my life. But that big adventure might mean hiking 10 miles at one time. Like that might be a big adventure for me. Because again, I'm outdoors adjacent. I'm not rappelling off of some big rock. I'm not doing, no, that just makes me, no, it makes me physically ill to think about. But it's cool. I will hang out at the bottom and cheer you on all day long. Or the top, whatever makes the most sense. It's fine.
Probably the bottom. Yeah. If we're rappelling, the bottom. Yeah. The top if I'm climbing.
Yeah, but the top means I have to get there.
Yeah, it's a 12-mile hike to the top of El Cap, up the back.
I don't know. If I can make it to where I can hike 10, maybe I can hike 12 at some point.
I'll also say, so like there are 2 hikes up the back of El Cap, and we do the longer one because when we're hiking in, like on rig team, you're carrying like way more shit than you normally would be. So we hike up like it's longer, but it's more gradual.
Yeah, I'll do that.
There's a less mileage, but it's apparently more hellish.
Yeah,
that I have not done.
I'm good. We can do the long. That's okay. Like I'm the one who's like, if it's gonna be like Box Canyon, that uphill climb at Box Canyon for the majority of the way, I'm not about it. Yeah, I'm just not. That's not that bad for the duration. It is like it's not that bad. Yeah. But if it's gonna be like that,
a lot.
Mm-mm.
I think that like a common misconception when it comes to like, especially like long distance hiking, is that those spurts, where you're like walking, it feels like you're walking straight up, are never very long.
Yeah, they're there out of necessity more than anything.
Yeah, it's like we'll get you here before you can do the next.
Yeah, like this is the best way we could get you to the next part. Like, hey.
Yes. So I have a couple more fun facts about the Smokies before we get into our case. Number 1, it is the salamander capital of the world.
I love salamanders. Fun fact about Sav. I love salamanders. I think they are so cute. They're so cute. Oh, okay, except the hellbender. I don't. No, I don't like them. That's once they get larger than like the length of my hand, I'm not about it. I love salamanders.
Well, salamander capital of the world. There you go.
Love it. They probably have hellbenders. I'm not about that.
I didn't list their. Again, one of the links has like a bunch of fun facts.
Yes.
I just pulled out a couple. The park is between 200 and 300 million years old, and I guess I should not say the park, but the mountains in the park.
No, okay.
Are between 200 and 300 million years old. There's no entrance fee for the park due to when the country bought the road from the state that it's in. That was like a condition, is that you would never have to pay to travel along that road, and the road runs through the park.
The country or the county?
The country, like the United States, bought it from the state to make it a national park.
State. Okay, yeah. Okay, sorry, I got lost for a second.
Yeah.
But that's cool. I like that because
So there's no entrance fee, and from climbworks.com, quote, There are more than 4,000 plants, 140 species of trees, about 65 species of mammals, 200 varieties of birds, 67 native fish species, and more than 80 types of reptiles and amphibians, end quote. I will also say that in those 65 species of mammals, some of them are bears, and there are about 1,500 individual bears in the park.
1,500 individual bears?
Yes.
Yes. Most of them black bears, I'm imagining.
Yes.
Yeah.
This area is very well known for black bears, so that's most likely what you're going to see. And my last fun fact, the park is home to quite a few ghost stories.
Yes!
Which we will not be covering today.
Dang it. But I will at some point.
This is how I'm segueing into talking about my sources. My main source for this episode was the book, National Park Mysteries and Disappearances, The Great Smoky Mountains National Park by Stephen Stockton. Great for all of your spooky things that happen in the park, and it's actually the first in a series. But I'm just saying that I now own this book, and the first half of it is ghosts.
Cool.
So if you need it.
I do need it. I always need ideas for stories.
Yeah. So I did not read any of them. I was just like, another ghost, another ghost. Because like the chapters were like titled.
Oh, good.
So I was like, no. Yeah, there are a lot of ghosts.
I appreciate you skipping that.
Yeah. So that book and investigationsforthemissing.org are my two main sources for this episode. And as always, full source links are in the blog. So Teresa, also known as Trenny Lynn Gibson, was a 16-year-old student in 1976 when our case takes place. She had shoulder-length brown hair that was almost wavy. She was 5'3", 5'4"-ish. And by all accounts, she was a pretty normal student. And we do have a photo of her. I'd like you to pull it up because mostly because I was, doing this case and Jeremiah came up to like see how I was doing. And I showed him this picture and I'm like, I'm convinced that if I was born in 1960 and I was alive in 1976, that this is what I would have looked like. And he was like, yep.
Yep. Hair at least. Yeah, probably. Yeah. Because I love you're like, almost wavy. And I'm like, no, honey, she had curly hair. She just didn't know what to do with it.
Yep.
That is curly hair that's been brushed out.
Yep.
We've all been there, honey. All us curly girls, we have all been there. In case you have somehow been listening to this podcast and you have never seen me in Piff, which I don't know how that could happen because that means you're not following us on Instagram and you're not following us or TikTok. So you should fix that. But we are both curly girls. Mm-hmm. And we know all the woes that come with being curly girls.
Yep.
And that is one of them. And I looked like that the majority of my childhood.
Yeah. So yeah, that's Trenny.
That's it.
And then the following background information is from investigationsforthemissing.org. It's paraphrased, so it's not like a quote, but just I only found it in one place. And so if any of this is wrong, I wanted to just say that's where it's from.
Yeah. That's where I got it.
That's where I got it. And if it's wrong, I'm sorry.
Blame them.
Yeah. Trenny hoped to attend the University of Tennessee to study landscape architecture.
Love that.
She was very into plants.
Love that.
And was taking a class on horticulture at her high school.
I think you are her incarnate.
I was not into plants this much.
Okay, that's true. You do have a lot
I have plants now. That was my quarantine
but that was your quarantine obsession.
Yeah.
That might be the ADHD kicking in there.
Maybe a little bit. Maybe a little bit.
Yeah, because you're nowhere near as obsessed with your plants as you used to.
No, I'm not.
Every time I came over during the quarantine, because we were safe and we were practically quarantining together, don't come at me. Or at us. So you were like, look at this new plant I got. Like every time. Or look at this new pot every single time.
Yep.
I miss that a little bit.
Well, yeah. They're still alive.
They are alive. And the fiddle's coming back to life, it looks like, which is crazy.
Except Nova ate one of its leaves last night.
Nova.
Really into plants.
Yes.
She had a part-time job working at the food court in a local mall and was otherwise involved in normal high school things. It was the 70s. She would hang out with friends in the school's designated smoke pit.
Oh my gosh.
Because it was the 70s. So,
Trenny.
Trenny, yeah. Hang out with friends, talk to people, pretty average student into plants. On the day in question, October 8th, 1976, the students were going on a field trip to the Smokies.
Woohoo!
Based on a couple different sources, it appears that the students knew they were going on a field trip, but they didn't know where. They hadn't been told. So they were prepared for a field trip to be outside had bagged lunches and stuff, but like the destination was a surprise.
But they were prepared for like outdoors activity.
In theory.
Okay, because I'm like, why would you take kids to the Smokies and not prepare them? Because they need appropriate shoes, like all that jazz.
It was for their horticulture class, and so I'm imagining that they were like, we're going to go on a horticulture field trip, so we're going to be outside, like looking at plants.
Yeah, which I mean, tracks.
Yeah, but they didn't know where exactly they were going. Mm-hmm. This will come up later.
Okay.
So fall was in full bloom in the Smokies, and the weather was no exception. Along with the beautiful reds and oranges, there was a forecast of rain and cold.
Oh, yeah.
Many students, Trenny included, wondered if the trip would be canceled.
Yeah.
But the trip was still on, and all the students clamored onto the bus where they were told where they were going that day. Smoky Mountain National Park. The Great Smoky Mountain National Park. The Great. I missed the Great. Yeah. Can't forget the Great.
It's just like with Ohio, like the Ohio State University.
The Great Smoky Mountains. I'm going to just be saying Smokies from now on.
Yeah. So did she go to high school in Tennessee? I'm just
Knoxville, Tennessee is where she went to high school.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm just making sure I'm on the right page.
Yep. So it was just a day trip. And based on a Google map search, Clingman's Dome, which is where they like parked within the Smokies that they were heading for, was like 50 to 60 miles from their school. So like hour and a half.
Yeah. Fun.
Hour and a half because it's the mountains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's raining.
Yeah, it's kind of gross. I don't think it was raining like at this point, but there was rain in the forecast. It rains later.
Okay.
So Trenny settled in next to Robert Simpson on the bus. He was a friend of her older brother.
Oh, fun.
There is some suggestion that she had never been away from her family for a whole day, but I guess that depends on like your definition of away, because like obviously she's going to school and work, and I'm sure she had friends and stuff.
It's just a day trip. It's only, obviously she goes missing, so it's only intended to be a day trip. So it's not like. But I mean, I have a hard time believing like if she had never left her hometown before.
Yeah.
Surely she's been on other field trips before or something like that.
Yeah, she's 16.
16.
Kids go on field trips.
Yeah.
Regardless, Trenny's brother had asked Robert to keep an eye on her because they were friends. Mm-hmm. So the school arrived in the Clingman's Dome parking lot around noon, and the students were given their assignment. It was a horticulture field trip, like I said, so they were to hike Andrews Bald, looking at plant life along the way. Their teacher, Mr. Dunlap, made sure to give the group a meeting time back at the bus, 3:30.
Good.
And emphasized staying on the appropriate trail. No side trips, nothing else. Stay on the trail, go up there. You're supposed to be looking at plants. Come back.
Yeah, and hopefully made sure each group at least or whatever had a method of telling time.
In theory. It was the 70s. I feel like kids wore watches back then.
Yeah.
Just regular old watches. Also, I forgot to bring in my prop. Please hold. So this is the part where I'm going to talk about the hike, and I happen to own the Trails Illustrated map of the park. So this is for you so you can see what I'm talking about.
Oh God, what if I unfold it and I can't?
Okay, it's got very defined lines. It's going to be fine.
Okay. Didn't you buy this when we went to REI when I bought my pack?
Not that one, no.
Not this one?
That one I bought kind of more recently. There is also a badly annotated photo on the drive as well for those of you who do not own this. That has just the part that we're looking at.
Wow.
And you really just need the part where all the sticky notes are.
Ah, cool. 40 in it back. This much. Okay.
Perfect.
Wow, those are really defined lines. Like that came back together very well.
Yes. So for those of you looking at the image, the red path that I kind of like drew on there with MS Paint is the trail that the students were supposed to be taking.
Wait, your husband recreationally dabbles in Photoshop and you did it in Microsoft Paint. She's like, I'm independent. I don't need no man.
Exactly.
I don't need his help. I don't need his fancy Photoshop.
It's fine. So
you did a good job. I looked at it earlier. You did a good job.
So
sorry, that was very loud. My bad.
Good. The trail that they were supposed to be going on is 3.5 miles round trip. It's about 1.8 miles each way, with a relatively low elevation change of 1,200 feet. According to NPS.gov, Andrews Bald is a grassy plain area where you can find different berries and plants depending on the time of year. A good spot to have young horticulture students go. So now we have kind of a rough idea of where they are, and we'll talk about all of the other markings on that map, later. So Trenny and the other students headed up the trail, chatting, stopping to eat lunch. It was a chilly day, like I said earlier, and Robert ended up loaning his brown and orange wool jacket to Trenny due to the cold. She was wearing like a blouse and a sweater, but it was still too cold, so.
Yeah, and what? Dress for the weather.
Well, my best guess is that a lot of the students thought it was going to be canceled.
Yeah.
And so it was like, I'm kind of prepared for it, but also prepared for it to not happen.
Yeah.
Best guess.
Because they're 16.
Yes. Also, like, I don't need a coat. I'm fine.
Yeah, such a 16-year-old thing. Yeah.
The only adults on this trip were Mr. Dunlap, their teacher, and the bus driver. The driver stayed with the bus, which, like, seems normal to me. Mm-hmm. And their teacher hiked up with a group of students. Also, it was the 70s. Why would there be more than one chaperone with a group of 40 students?
Yeah, why would there be?
In, like, a 3-mile stretch. It's fine. So the students are hiking up. They naturally split into smaller groups. Some of them were walking faster. Some wanted to take more breaks to look around. Just, natural separation along the trail.
Question.
Answer.
Can't find, like, the actual trail that they were on. I see Andrews Bald and I see Klingman's Dome. Is it this dashed line? Because it goes all the way this way and, like, loops around this way. But they stopped there. So, like, they went there and then they were just going to follow the same trail back.
Yes.
Okay, I was like, that looks a lot more like 3-point-whatever miles. Like, that looks like a lot more than that.
So it was just out and back. So they would hike up to Andrews Bald and then turn around and take the same trail back.
Same trail. Okay.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Natural separation. According to other students, the group that Trenny and Robert were in made it to Andrews Bald at around 1:30. So you think they get there at about noon. They probably have 30 minutes of, like, the teacher being like, don't wander off, stay with a friend, stay on the trail, don't pick up anything, don't take
anything with you.
Leave it all
and
then they're off. Takes about an hour to get up to the top. Makes sense. Mm-hmm. Okay. So at this point, Trenny, they get to the top, they stop, eat lunch. Several students saw Trenny and Robert, like, eating lunch together. This has been corroborated. It started to rain. And at this point, Trenny's, like, ready to go back down. Some sources say, like I said, that it has been raining. It had started raining while they were at the top. I imagine she's getting cold. I'm just, like, kind of guessing at this point.
Yeah.
But she was ready to go back down. Robert at this point wasn't quite ready. And despite him telling her brother that he would stay with her, he stayed at the Bald while she headed down.
Okay.
And all accounts put her walking back relatively quickly. She passed several groups of students on her way back, with all of them saying she was walking really quickly. She's
probably cold, tired of being wet.
Cold, tired, yeah. So the last group to see her stopped for a break on trail and had invited her over to, like, chill with them. She didn't stop and kept going. And now, like, this whole part I can picture in my head. Okay. So it's about 3 p.m. based on, like, students. She hikes past them just a few dozen yards and bends over, it looks like, to look at something. She stepped to the right of the trail. Maybe there was an interesting plant that she was trying to look at. Maybe she needed to tie her shoe. All we know is that she wasn't too far from a group of students. They could see her. Mm-hmm. She bent over and stepped off the trail. She was never seen again.
So, like, my first thought, she fell. Like, she fell, rolled down an incline, got lost, didn't know how to get back. It's, like, my very first thought.
Yeah.
I mean, I could go more sinister with it, but at first it seems relatively, like...
At first pass.
Yeah.
So we're going to, I'm just going to keep adding information and then obviously theories at the end. So the group of students nearby was obviously, like, confused as to where she went because they just saw her and then she kind of just stepped off the face of the earth, it seemed like. Mm-hmm. So when they started moving again, they checked out the spot where she was last seen. There wasn't another trail. There was some shrubbery and a small creek. It wasn't like a big drop off. There are a couple of places where water is nearby the trail, of course. It had rained and there could be additional, like, creeks, quote unquote, that aren't normally there and aren't mapped. But if you look at the map or the photo, you can see the little blue lines are water. So you can kind of guess where they might have been. And at this point, when I was writing my notes, I was wondering, and I didn't see this anywhere, like, I wonder if she just had to pee. It would kind of explain, like, separating from all the other student hiking groups, stepping off the trail near like, a bunch of bushes.
Yeah, and, like,
walking really fast.
She was walking, yeah.
Yeah, like, maybe she had realized she's, like, not going to make it back to the parking lot, saw some water and was like, I could pee in that.
Yeah.
Like, that was just, like, my thought as I was writing this. I'm like, maybe that's
she's 16
why.
and probably doesn't have, education on don't pee in waterways, but, like,
yeah,
she's 16.
You, like, think it's a good idea.
Yeah, yeah.
And again, I have nothing to, like, support that, but I was just, like, thinking, like, what would make me separate from, like, my friends, all these people, and, like, book it down a mountain? The need to pee. The need to pee. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
So the students and their teacher returned to the bus because they were like, well, she's not there. She clearly didn't fall. They didn't see her. Maybe,
Maybe they didn't see her get back on the trail and go on. Like,
you know, like, they're not concerned.
That's a reasonable thought.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, well, she's not here. Maybe we just didn't see her get back on the trail. She's probably at the bus.
Yeah, nobody's super concerned at this point. So they return to the bus and the teacher starts, like, checking for everybody. And at this point, the group as a whole, like, realizes she's fully missing.
Mm-hmm.
And people are like, okay, where's Trenny? Where's Trenny? She's not here.
Yeah. And the brother's friend is like, crap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's around 3:30 because that's when they were supposed to be back. And the search begins. Search and rescue crews descended on the area, both by foot and air. The weather had worsened with heavy rains and fog, making it difficult. One searcher slipped and broke a couple ribs during this.
Jeez.
Just a
Why
testament.
Is it that when you need a rescue, the weather is horrible?
Oh, it's always horrible.
Why?
That's why you need a rescue.
I mean, yeah, but like,
yeah.
Just every rescue we talk about, that's like a true rescue. The weather has been terrible.
Mm-hmm.
See Denali.
Yep.
Jeez.
So
I'm still torn up about that. You got me so good on that. Jeez. Okay. Anyway, sorry. Continue.
So that was just like a testament to, like, the terrible conditions of the trail.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, keep in mind, any footprints would probably be washed away from, like, the downpour.
Mm-hmm.
They brought in search dogs to track her scent. And this is where we've got a couple other, like, markers on our little picture map. There are colored dots. And then we've got some arrows. And I might have to, like, stand up and point for you. So the dogs tracked her scent to the intersection where the AT meets the Klingman's Dome area. So the AT on there is the orange line.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's, like, right by Klingman's. So dogs tracked her scent to there. That's, if you're looking at the map on the drive, it's approximately the blue dot. Again, the dots are just like me and MS Paint. Nothing on here is super accurate.
Yeah, it just gives you an idea.
Just an idea. Dogs also traced her a separate time to within 1.5 miles of Newfound Gap parking lot. So that's the sticky note that's way off. And in case you're not looking at the map, Newfound Gap by road is about 7 miles from where she was supposed to meet the bus, and it's 8.6 miles by the Appalachian Trail. And
they tracked her all the way over there? Like, they picked up her scent all the way over there? Wow.
So maybe. But also another source stated that the dogs tracked her 1.5 miles from Klingman's around Collins Gap.
Okay.
These are very different locations. And no source said both of those. It was one or the other.
Mm.
And so I couldn't determine if those were the same or different tracking attempts. I don't know how far they tracked her, but it was, somewhere in that direction. Also, one of the green dots, just so that we know, if you're, like, looking at that map, one of them is just on Newfound Gap. You'll notice because it says Newfound Gap. And the other 2 dots are, to the left of that, about 1.5 miles away on the trail and on the road. Just so we know. And again, where exactly they tracked the scent to was unclear, but most accounts say that it was by the roadside. Okay?
Hmm.
In the area where she was last seen, searchers found 3 cigarette butts and a partial can of beer.
Always gotta be creepy.
I mean,
always gotta be someone out there. Being a predator. Okay, I'm good.
Are you good?
I digress. No, but I digress.
So cigarette butts were also found along the road near her scent. Where along the road? Not sure, because I'm not actually sure where the dogs tracked her, but somewhere along that road Between Klingman's and Newfound Gap, there were cigarette butts again. Now, as far as I know, the cigarette butts were never tested for her DNA, but like I said, the rain was a problem in this search, so who even knows if they could be tested, because it had been raining. Searchers would look intensely through the month of October. She went missing on the 8th, finding no trace of her actual person. There were, however, a couple of strange belongings of hers that would turn up. Her black hair comb was found being used by another student who claimed she had given it to them for safekeeping. Another student was found to have her sapphire star sapphire pendant and a ring that Trenny was wearing that day. This student never revealed how they became in possession of the jewelry. Suspicious.
That's so weird.
Yeah. After hundreds of hours of searching, on November 1st, the main search was called off. Another search would happen in the spring, going from April to May, but still no substantial evidence as to what had happened to her. As of this year, 2021, it has been 45 years since her disappearance, and her family is left with only unanswered questions. Tina, Trenny's sister, spoke with the author of the book that I read. She talked about how her big sister's disappearance absolutely devastated her family, with her parents becoming stricter and blaming each other and her siblings for what had happened.
Her siblings?
Yeah.
The siblings weren't there.
No, but it's just...
Like, how could you blame
trying to find an explanation for the unexplained.
I know, but that makes no sense. Even in the most grief-stricken mindset, I don't feel like that makes any sense. They were not there. They could not have...
Maybe they could have gone. Maybe a sibling said, "Oh, let her go. Maybe, she'll be fine." You know, we don't know the intricacies of what happened. Yeah. So now theories. There are 4.
Okay.
None of them are aliens. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
So theory number 1: she planned to escape.
Okay.
So this theory is the one most often said by former classmates and loved ones of Trenny. But unfortunately, I think that is mostly because they still want her to be alive and happy somewhere.
Yeah.
The rough story they believe is that she had made plans with a man to run away from her strict family, and that's why there was never any body found. It could also explain her scent around Newfound Gap area. There's a parking lot there that theoretically could have contained a getaway car.
Oh, hold on. I'll share what I think about this after you're done.
Okay. However, pretty much everyone agrees that the students did not know where their field trip was taking them that day. There is, of course, a chance that Trenny found out in advance, but, that could be a stretch. But it was the 70s, and hitchhiking was pretty common. And her scent was near roads. And along the AT, hitchhiking is still common. She could have hitched a ride anywhere.
I was caught up on... They supposedly didn't know where they were going. Sure, she could have found out early. High schoolers find out stuff they're not supposed to find out all the time. But I mean, yeah, the one way I could see that is probably the hitchhiking. That's probably how I would be okay, all right. But did we know her family was really strict beforehand?
It sounded like they were strict by standards of other students
in the 70s.
Yeah, in the 70s. So who knows what that actually means?
Yeah. Okay.
So theory number 2, this is a Piff theory.
Okay.
She got lost.
Yeah.
So this is
That's why I was my first thought is she fell down an incline and got turned around, didn't know where she was.
Yeah. So this is the least fun, never talked about, but in my opinion, still plausible outcome. We know firsthand on this show how easy it is to get turned around in the woods. If she had, like I suspected, needed to go to the bathroom, this wouldn't be the first case where someone had stepped off the AT to pee and never been seen again.
Mm-hmm.
Remember Inchworm?
Mm-hmm.
Interestingly, this never seemed to be a theory either in the book I read or the articles talking about it. This is just a Piff theory.
Yeah, but it's not a fun theory. So.
Not a fun theory.
Yeah.
And it doesn't explain her scent being found both near and far away from parking lots and roads, unless she was just wandering in the woods, hoping to find her way out.
Yeah.
It is pretty easy for inexperienced people to wander all over the place and not realize how close they got to civilization. But
or to realize
also
how
she
far
was like,
they've gone.
Yeah. And it was also potential that she was literally like on the side of a road. But we don't know if those cigarette butts were her. Somebody could have just thrown them out her window.
Yeah.
Near,
they found all kinds, but they could not even be connected. The can of beer could not even be connected. Yeah. You know, like it could just be they found litter.
Yeah. And it could just be litter. Or it could be her cigarette butts and she could have been there.
Yeah. Or somebody could have been waiting for a sheep to move away from the flock to swoop in and take it.
Yep.
And they were just chain smoking and drinking a beer, waiting for their opportunity.
So as always, we are just wildly speculating. But that is, I wanted to throw it in there because nobody was talking about the potential that she like
just got lost.
Got lost. Like she stepped off to pee, couldn't find her way back to the trail and got lost.
Yeah.
It happens.
Because she's 16. She probably doesn't have very much like trail experience.
Yeah. Even if you do, so like
easy. Yeah, inchworm.
It's very easy to get turned around.
Yeah.
So theory number 3, Robert Simpson.
Okay.
So now this, I think, is the true crime reader leading towards this. He's the man closest to the situation and does kind of seem like a likely suspect. Mm-hmm. But no student accounts have the pair walking back together. In fact, Robert had supposedly run off after a bear, which is just a different level of high school stupidity.
Boy, yeah.
And wasn't nearby when she seemed to have vanished. So like when those students saw her step off.
There were students seeing him doing something stupid.
Yeah. It is notable to include that no one had hiked back with Robert. So he had made his way from the top to the bottom without anybody seeing him.
Okay.
And there were rumors that the student who had her comb was him.
Okay.
Police never considered him a suspect. I don't know. He was a friend of the family, you know.
But we don't know how the one student came into possession of her jewelry.
Yeah, I still don't know. Nothing ever came of that.
He could have given it to them. I mean, if we really don't know, if we really want to speculate.
Yep. We really don't know. And the 4th theory, and the theory that if you listen to any other podcast that has done this, and I haven't listened to them, but this is the overall the one people think is true.
Okay.
A boy named Kelvin Bowman.
Okay.
A man that hasn't been mentioned up to this point. I guess man, boy, he was the same age. You know, he was a high schooler.
Yeah.
But was, according to the family, obsessed with Trenny. Although I shouldn't really say that it was just according to the family. At the time of her disappearance, Kelvin had recently been released from prison for trying to break into their family's home the previous October.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
When he tried to break in, Trenny's mom ended up shooting him in the foot.
How the foot? What?
I mean, she wasn't trying to kill him, just like get him not to break into their house. And he was sentenced to 2 years in a juvenile detention center. But he only served 6 months and was not just out, but back at the same school as Trenny when this all happened.
We could talk about the multiple failings of the system, but
The rumor mill states that he threatened her either at sentencing or once he got out, but I couldn't find anything to corroborate this. He would have been a minor when it happened, so the records are theoretically sealed.
Yeah.
Some students say they saw his car trailing the bus when they left for the field trip.
Okay, so he wasn't on the trip.
He was not on the field trip.
Okay.
He was not in this class. But the principal is adamant that he was in his classes that day. Mm-hmm. I don't know how true that is. That is just the facts. Mm-hmm. I did also find a later court case from 1980, an appeal of someone by the same name in the same city. And I'm sorry, but Kelvin is not that common of a name.
No.
Especially in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Yeah.
Who had been convicted of 3rd-degree criminal sexual conduct. Mm-hmm. I cannot definitively say that these are the same person, nor did I really look into that case. But just a note.
Yeah, just to put that out there.
Just a note of what could have happened. So those are our theories about what happened. What are your thoughts?
I mean, the true crime lover in me, is like, oh, there's a much more sinister like thing, like Kelvin did follow the trip, and like it is nothing for a principal to be like, oh no, they were in class, because that would be a whole other ring to that media circus. That would be, okay, so not only did you let one teacher with 40 students go alone on a field trip and an hour and a half away or whatever.
Into the woods.
But you also didn't keep track of your students, and a known like stalker or whatever of the student who was on the trip, you lost track of them, and you didn't keep track of your kids, and like now, he potentially could have harmed her. However, I feel like if her body were in or around that area, I feel like the dogs probably would have caught up to something. Also, if there had been a sexual element, we would have found maybe clothing, like...
Well, but that's only if it happened there. Like, he could have abducted her
from there.
And took her, somewhere.
That's true. I can see the, like, a person abducted her, like, element, of course. But, I don't know, I feel like your theory is probably closer to more accurate, because you take kids who don't typically... I mean, it's Tennessee. They've probably grew up in the woods, like, let's be honest. But, like, who don't typically hike regular trails, and especially not somewhere like the Smokies, where there are... I mean, look at this map. There are trails that interweave. Maybe she took a wrong turn. Maybe she got off because, I mean, right here by Klingman's Dome, it literally says multiple trail junctions, read signage, and know where you are at all times. So maybe it was she got off to pee. She managed to find... So she got off to pee. Maybe she, like, got turned around. So there's that. Or maybe she got off to pee, but made her way back to the trail, but took a wrong turn and ended up somewhere else. Because, I mean, let me see. Okay, so Newfound Gap? No land. I mean, that connects, right, to Klingman's Dome. So, I mean, like, there are multiple ways that she could have gotten from Klingman's or somewhere near Klingman's to there and didn't realize, like, that she was lost, or knew she was lost but didn't know, like, where to go, what to do, I don't know. There's several ways that this could go. But the fact that there's, like, literally zero evidence makes it a, like, speculation, like, playground. Or aliens could have abducted her.
Could have been aliens.
Only her on this one field trip.
Yep.
Only her.
Once she got separated from the group.
They were like,
my thought with, like, anybody that she kind of knows, like, abducting her, so Kelvin, Robert, somebody unidentified as of right now, right?
Yeah.
Is like, can you, like, picture this? So you've gotten separated from your group, you've taken a wrong turn, you're on the road between Klingman's and Newfoundland.
Yeah, trying to figure out where to go.
Somebody pulls over and goes, Trenny, what are you doing?
And she's like,
I'm, like, on this school trip, I can't figure out where the bus is, and, like, says, oh, we're parked at Klingman's. It's like, oh, like, I'm literally driving that direction. Hop on in.
I'll take you there.
And it's somebody even, like, okay, even if, like, Kelvin, who, like, tried to break into your house, happened to be there, I don't think you would question it, because you're like, he's not actually gonna hurt me.
Yeah, you would be like,
you have a false sense of safety.
Like, surely, yeah. I don't think it was the brother's friend.
Yeah, no. When I was first reading it, I was like, I don't know, she's spending a lot of time with this guy, but, like, the more I knew about it, the less that seemed. Although, how did he get that comb? I mean, she could have given it to her.
I mean, so let's think about, like, kids lose stuff. Kids, and, like, 16, you're a child. So you are a child.
Just so, like, information about this comb. It was apparently, like, a specific expensive comb that she always carried on her.
Always had. Okay. So, but, like, why would she give it to someone for safekeeping unless
if she always carries it?
If she always carries it, or unless she sensed that she was in danger in some way. Yeah. But then if you sense that you're in danger in some way, why are you giving your stuff away?
Yeah.
Why are you not saying, hey, I don't feel right about something?
Yeah. And that's
but also not to victim shame, but I'm just saying, like, if you feel like you're in danger, why are you giving your stuff away and you're not?
Yeah. And maybe it was more of a giving, maybe it was the runaway thing. Maybe that's how that other student got her necklace and stuff, is it was like, oh, here, you love this so much. Like, why don't you take it? Like, you know, giving away like important things to people you care about. But
which is like similar to like when somebody's contemplating suicide, they start like giving gifts, giving things
trying
away,
to start over.
And I feel like that would be similar. So I feel like it's she just straight up got lost, or she actually did run away. I'd be interested to know more about her family life and like more about like if she were to run away, why? Not that every kid that runs away really has a reason. Sometimes they're like, I just want to get out of this town. Like it's not like a family thing. It's just like I want to go do something else. Like, and she was 16. I mean, you know, roughly around the age where it's like you could have gotten a job like at that time. You know, so she probably, if she did run away, she's probably like, well, you know, I have this opportunity. And maybe she went on this trip fully planning and intending on coming back home, but saw an opportunity and took it.
Yeah, I don't think that she planned to go missing on this trip.
Yeah.
I think if it was her choice to go missing, that it was opportunistic.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, all of her money was still in her bank account. She didn't even have, like, a coat.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she didn't have, like, stuff.
She had her own bank account?
Yeah, she had a job. I mean, her own. I'm sure her parents were on it. But
yeah, she was, like, on her, the mall job, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I could see the getting lost. I could 100% see the getting lost. I could also see, but I feel like if she got lost, I don't know. I just feel like we would have more to go on.
Well, I
don't know though. Maybe not.
I'm throwing it back to Inchworm because Inchworm was another case. It was like more than that. I think it was like 15 years or something before they found her campsite. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they had been searching tons, and they knew like in a very narrow area where she had stepped off trail.
Mm-hmm.
And it still took that long to find her campsite.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like, you know,
that case still gets me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But before they had found her, that case was similar to this one where everybody was just like, what happened? You know, was there foul play?
Yeah.
Who did it? Dun, dun, dun. And then, you know, you find her campsite in the woods 15 or so years later. And it's
she got lost and she starved to death.
Yep.
I don't know. And there are so many twists and turns in this area. There are so many elevation changes, caves, like, I mean, the possibilities are endless. I don't know though. I have such a hard time thinking foul play for this one. I don't know though. Calvin does seem like a suspect. But like, yeah, her giving the other students coming into possession of her, like, of her personal property, that should have been looked into a little bit more, I think. And it probably was. They just never released it because they're minors. Which
everybody's a minor.
Yeah. So I don't know. Could have been opportunity knocked and she decided to take it, or she got lost. Or she got lost and then there was foul play. Like, it didn't start off as foul play, but then it turned into that. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Whole big question mark.
Yeah. Every like possibility seems equally plausible and implausible to me.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, even the Kelvin thing seems really far-fetched, but also like 100% possible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, I don't know. I still feel like getting lost. I really don't think the brother's friend did it. I don't know why, but I just really don't. I don't know. But that's also like the easy conclusion to come to because they were together the whole day.
Until they weren't. And then he was like tracking a bear.
And then it's weird. Yeah, that's kind of weird. But also 16-year-old boy. Like,
It's also weird that like he made it back to the bus on time, but nobody saw him hike down.
Yeah, that part's weird.
It's weird. There's a
lot
lot
of... he could have watched her. I don't know, though. He would have lost sight of her before she stepped off the trail, though. If she passed that many groups of students, like, he would have lost sight of her before she stepped off.
Theoretically, unless he was like just not on the trail in the woods watching her.
I mean, maybe, which is weird.
No one saw him come down. He was tracking a bear.
He could have run off, gotten into the woods, used that cover to circle around.
Yeah. And I don't know how good of outdoors people any of these people are. No. We're just speculating here.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened.
And it depends on how big the bald is too. That it's like, could he have run off in the opposite direction to track a bear or whatever?
Yeah.
Made it into the woods and circled around before someone saw, before he lost her. Before he lost her.
Because again, she was moving down that trail.
She was booking it. Yeah. So I don't know.
I do think she had to pee. I think that's why.
I think she had to pee.
I think that's why she was booking it.
Yeah.
So to finish off, I have some stuff that Tina, her sister, said.
Okay.
So Tina was one of the people who hoped that her sister had gotten out of the park and was enjoying life somewhere beautiful. But according to the book, quote, she also said in her heart of hearts she didn't think Trenny ever left that park alive, end quote.
Mm.
So that is, I don't know how to end that.
I don't know. Yeah, this is a tricky one.
Mm-hmm. And it's definitely one of those ones that'll make you think because we don't know what happened. We might never know. It's been 45 years.
We'll probably never know. Yeah.
You know? And
I mean, because it was the 70s, DNA
wasn't a big
thing until
the 80s.
80s.
Yeah.
Mid to late 80s, right? Or no? 80s. So a decade-ish later, could have been 5 years. I don't know. You know what I mean, though? Like,
yeah, I think it was like late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah. So any samples that were collected are probably destroyed or disintegrated too much.
Not to mention that it was raining.
It was raining, so they probably couldn't have used any of it even today. I don't know, maybe today, but
Yeah.
Yeah. But the possessions, I'm like stuck on the comb and the jewelry.
Mm-hmm.
And if the comb, they said she gave it to me. She could be lying.
That's what he said, that she gave it to him for safekeeping.
Yeah, which he could be lying.
Yes.
Or
he could be telling the truth.
If he's telling the truth, and she really did give it to him for safekeeping. Why safekeeping? Now, was he one of the students that was in the group of people who saw her step off?
No. The person who had the comb was Robert.
Oh.
Her brother's friend. Those are the same person.
I like that even less now.
But now I'm like, okay, was it just like, oh, like you're my brother's friends, my pockets aren't very big in this, like can you just like carry this for me?
Yeah, but then he gave her his jacket,
which had
his pockets would have been bigger. Also, if you always carry this comb around,
like you're used to it being in your pockets.
Yeah.
I don't know. Dude, I don't know.
Yeah. And like the jewelry could have, and that's why the kid never said how they got the jewelry, supposedly never said how they got the jewelry. Robert could have given it to them and been like, don't tell anyone.
Yeah.
So like that does make him look a little more suspicious. But also I don't know.
I really truly don't know, but I do hope that, her family found peace with it. I think she's only got like one sibling left, nowadays. Tina died in 2016. That is the story of the disappearance of Trenny Gibson.
It's cool though. At least they had so many stories from the students that corroborated. You know what I mean? Like they all saw, like so many people saw her
coming down in a hurry, passing groups.
And it was a group of students that saw her step off the trail to like look at something, tie her shoe, do whatever. Yeah. Like if it were one student, I would be like, you need to be looking at them because they're the only one who has this detail. But like a group of 3, 4, 5 students, however many, at 16, they all tend to flock together. So it's like, who knows how many, but like at least a couple students. Yeah, I feel like, and they were like, and we invited her to come over here, but she said no, which also backs up that she had to pee. So she's like, I'm good, I'm gonna go this way,
I gotta keep going.
Yeah.
And maybe it was, I don't know.
I mean, to put another devil's advocate spin on it, maybe she was booking it because she was scared. Maybe, what's his face?
Robert had said something, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe he was friends with the other guy who, like, was obsessed with her. Maybe they were both. And, like, maybe they worked together and what's his face was there ready to pick her up and drive off if he could get her there. Who knows? This could go a million different directions.
And we don't even know, we don't know all of her friends that were there, We weren't there. We don't know, all the drama at the school. There's always stuff that kids don't tell adults.
Oh, for sure. Wow. Pep, thank you for that exhilarating whodunit mystery. Love that.
I don't think I've done an unsolved one since we came back. So, I had a lot of self-restraint to last this long.
You did. Yeah. I'm just glad. I just hope this doesn't start a rash of unsolved ones like it did last time.
No promises.
No promises. yeah, I think a disappearance of like an unsolved disappearance is a new level of intriguing.
Question mark.
Yeah, because like a murder, I'm always going to be like, stop telling me these unsolved murders, because it's not fair that these people got killed and like we don't know. She could have gotten killed. Who knows?
We don't know.
But all we know is that she disappeared, and I think that is like the yeah.
None of her clothes, her
nothing
hair,
was found. Even
nothing.
the one guy's jacket never
found. Yeah.
Weird. But yes, thank you for that. My brain will be spinning with that for the rest of the evening. So
You're welcome.
Anyway, thank you so much for listening. We love you guys. In the meantime,
stay safe out there. Thanks for watching. Music by Purple Planet. Art by Ruby Congrove. Logo by Catherine Dodds. For more information and our sources, head over to notsogreatoutdoors.com. For updates and announcements, make sure you follow us on Instagram and Twitter at NSGOPod. Don't forget to subscribe on all of your favorite podcasting platforms.